quickly thank GON for once again allowing us to come and sponsor the services here this morning. I think this is our probably third, fourth year doing that. And so we'd just like to give GON, let's go ahead and give them a round of applause for allowing us to do this. Also, I'd like to say out of the 3 or 4 years that I've done this, this is probably the biggest crowd that I've had. And I'm a little offended by that because I know we have a special guest here this morning that I think I'm here to hear from. So I don't know what to make of it, so I'm just offended. Just know that. Well, we do have a mountain man here this morning, and he wants to, when he found out we did this service, he wanted to be part of that. He asked us could he come up, and he likes to talk about God and his testimony, and we're definitely willing to give him an opportunity, and we just really like to thank him for being part of this service here this morning. And so rather than me sit here and ramble anymore, I'm going to turn it over to the mountain man and let him share his testimony. After that, I'll get up and wrap it up, and we'll get y'all back to your booths in a timely manner this morning.
Thank you, William. Appreciate it, brother. Well, we got a pretty good crowd out there, it looks like, this morning. Glad to see all y'all out there. My name is Tim Girardi. Y'all probably know me as Mountain Man on the Duck Dynasty show. We started filming this show, I think it's been about 3 years ago. Shot 2 pilots of the show, and it kind of went dormant for a while. And in the meantime, I started hanging around the duck call shop quite a bit and talking to Jace. And I really didn't know that much about the Robertsons, to be honest with you. But I knew they all went to church, and that's about all I knew. But I would sit in that duck call room with Jace Robertson, Godwin, Martin, he would be in there, be making duck calls. Well, in the time when they was making the duck calls, we'd get to talk about the Lord. And I said, well, these guys really are, you know, who people say they are. And as Jace would make the duck calls, we would talk about the Lord. You know, and I was getting me a little bit of education there. I was baptized when I was 9 years old, the Baptist faith. And after 9 years old, seems like sometimes you take the wrong roads, you know. You do things that you really know you're not supposed to do. I've only been married 7.5 years of my life. I have one boy, Jonathan, he's 21, so I've dated quite a few ladies, not a whole lot, always looking for the right relationship. But Jace knew, you know, that I was seeing a lady and I wasn't married, and it didn't fit too well with him, you know. I never have been much of a partier. Of course, I have tried a few things in my life, you know, which didn't agree with me. And Jace seemed to think that, you know, I had a little old man there I need to get rid of, you know, and I tend to think, you know, well, I was baptized at 9 years old. I'm all right. You know, I'm good, but I don't know, Mountain Man. I said, I still think you kind of need to get rid of some of that old man. And, you know, there'd be some days in there he would be telling me that, and I'd be staring at that concrete wall, feel like I could chew nails, you know, when he was talking to me about it, you know. And one day, after we had that speech, I was driving home and the good Lord come over me. And it's a feeling that you get. I don't know how to describe it. It's just chills come over you. And you know it. The Lord has come upon you. And that day, he come upon me. I mean, he hit me hard. And, of course, I was kind of in tears a little bit, and I called Jace, and I said, man, I don't know what happened in that duck call room, but I tell you, the good Lord just hit me when I crossed these railroad tracks here. He said, I think I need to get baptized again, Jace. And man, this is something else, this feeling that's come on me. And he said, mountain man, calm down, calm down. That is the way it feels when the good Lord comes upon you. Says, you're not quite ready yet, but you're almost ready. Well, we did a little more Bible study together, and we went over some things, and I had been seeing a lady friend, and we broke up, and I tried to get her to go to church with me, and she wouldn't go. You know, I'm not saying she's condemned to go downstairs down there to Hades or nothing, but you know, I wasn't living a life that I ought to live, and I knew that. But we broke up. I tried to get her to go to church, and she went a few times, and she dropped out, and I just didn't want to continue living the life that I was living. I wanted to be a better man for Jesus Christ our Lord. And one day we was doing some filming. It was the day that I was actually on the conveyor belt. That scene where I was in the canoe, y'all might have saw that on TV. That night, Mr. Phil Robertson, we took a break and we went and we leaned up against the old tire on his old four-wheel drive truck there. And previously I'd went hunting with Mr. Phil, and we talked about the Lord, and he said, mountain man, you know, I've done a lot of things when I was coming up, you know, and I had to get right with the Lord. And I said, yes, sir, I've heard stories. He says, I understand Jace has been talking to you some in the duck call room. And I said, yes, he has. And he says, well, mountain man, if you think you're about ready. And I looked at him and I said, yeah, Mr. Phil, I really feel like I would love to get baptized again. And Mr. Phil, he just lit up, big smile come over him, and Jace come out the door, and he said, hey, Jace, I think old mountain man's ear's ready. And Jace smiled, and I smiled, and he was smiling, and he said, well, it's Wednesday. Hey, the doors are open on the church. He said, you ready to roll on this mountain man? I said, yes, I am. And the word carried around. Willie heard about it. All the Robertsons heard about it. And I said, well, I think I need to go home. You know, after the film shoot was done, I said, I think I need to go home and get some more clothes. And they said, okay, mountain man, we're done now. You can run home, go get your clothes. And they were still wrapping it up at the duck commander shop. And I mean, I sped home, grabbed an extra set of clothes, and time I got there, every Robertson there was there. All of them, every kid, every wife, they were all there. And that night, when they baptized me, it was one of the biggest things in my life, the biggest things in my life. I mean, being in the show is great, but to go under that water and come up that new man, you can't beat that. There ain't nothing that's gonna beat that. I mean, all this, whatever you want to call it, fame, it don't beat nothing compared to being put down in that water and brought up that new man, that feeling that you get. And last thing I seen when I went underwater was Willie taking a picture of me going down and then coming up. I seen them flashes, them cameras going off, and I'm thinking, yeah, if I ever mess up again, old Willie, he gonna show me them pictures and say, hey, mountain man, you remember this picture here? But I have held faithful, and I will not fall. I ain't saying I'm perfect. I don't know if there's anybody in here that's perfect without sin. I'd like to meet them, but there's only one that I know of, and that's right up yonder. And throughout the show, the greatest thing I guess I can say about it is I've become another a lot godlier person than I ever have been. And Jace Robertson was a good messenger, and through the good Lord sending them my way, it makes me a lot better person, and I will not fall. And it gives us a platform, I think, to stand on. There's a lot of places I go now, and people say, "Hey, mountain man, well, let's go have a beer." "Yeah, you want to burn one?" I said, "No, I really don't. I think y'all need to understand that who you see on that show is who we are in real life. We're not something on TV putting on a show. We have the prayer at the end of the show at the dinner table. That's who we are. When we go to church, we get revived. We walk out them doors and ain't, hey, we went to church now, hey, we good now, everybody think we're all right." No. The church is within you. That's just a building. When we get out of that church, we're revived. We're ready to go out. We're ready to spread the message again. That's what we do. This isn't a fake show. I mean, who we are is who we are. And we're going to take this platform and we're going to stand firm on it. In every state we go to or every country we go to, we're going to preach the gospel. We're going to share our feelings. And hopefully, if we can just turn a few around toward the Lord, you know, that's the greatest accomplishment anybody can make in their life. I just think there needs to be more shows on TV like that. I really do. You know, maybe this can be the start of something new, I hope. I know it's turned a lot of people around. I know at our church there's a lot of people from all over the United States. They come in there to get baptized. And like I said, if we can just turn a few around, not us, excuse me, being messengers of the Lord, hey, that is a great accomplishment. This is actually the first time I've gotten up and really got to speak about the Lord in a good Christian atmosphere. I know it's hard nowadays, especially with kids, because like you get around some other kids and you want to talk about Jesus, they'll they feel like it's embarrassing, they're going to be embarrassed. These other kids are going to say, "Well, gee, he's really not who we thought he was. He wants to, hey, he's just a holy roller, I think that's a lot of a problem nowadays with children and kids, is embarrassment. Being able to speak out and let your feelings go. That's what God intended us for do. It's not an embarrassment. No, sir. It's an accomplishment. It's something we need to do more often and teach our kids to do more often. Do not feel embarrassed. When you're out there amongst them other kids, hey, if they're with you, if they're with Jesus Christ our Lord, they'll be more than happy to carry on that conversation. Don't ever be embarrassed about talking about Jesus. Jesus, God, our Lord. He is the one that created everything. If it wasn't for Him, nothing would be here. You can take all these scientists out here scratching their head. Yeah, well, that Big Bang Theory, that's how we got here. A little organism crawled up on the bank and somehow or another it turned into some kind of monkey. I don't think my uncle's a monkey. Any of y'all think y'all got orangutan uncles out there? I ain't never. I mean, I go to the zoo. Them monkeys still look the same as when I was 3 years old as they do today. I'm 55 years old. They ain't evolved one bit. And in the Bible, it says before the end of time, it's going to get tough. I'm not saying we're getting close to the end of the time. Nobody will know when the last day is. It says he will come like a thief in the night. No man will predict it. So, me, I fear that. I want to make sure I am right with the Lord. And I want my kid, my son Jonathan, to be right. He's kind of a hard head, but he's got a good heart, and I really feel like he's right with the Lord. But all you kids out there, do not ever be embarrassed to talk about the Lord. You are our future generation. So just don't ever worry about a thing. The good Lord will always have your back all the time. In the long run, you will win. But the Lord did not intend us to just spend time with the ones that are faithful to Him. For they have received the word. There's so many out there that haven't. And that's that bunch that I'm going to try to work with. I like a tough job, and I'm going to work on them others. Thank y'all. Appreciate it, Brother William.
Appreciate it, man.
Thank you. Yes, sir.